What's up, you guys? It's Matt here. So I have a couple of timestamps in this video. A lot of people liked when I went through the interview last time. Trey was going on an interview with Jordan Belfort, and I wanted to break this down. I have a couple of timestamps, not perfect timestamps, but we are going to break some of these things down, things that he said, and not go through the whole 1 hour and 36 minutes. So before I get started, make sure you hit that like button. Also hit the subscribe button for more videos like this one. And if you want to join my Discord group or as a member, I do live streams every single day, then definitely do so. But this was a really great interview. I had a chance to watch it, not a little bit. I had a chance to watch the whole thing and really put down some timestamps. I started to doze off at the end, not saying that it was boring. It was very late. I think it was like 12:30 when I actually watched it. So yeah, I wanted to break this down a little bit. I have a couple of timestamps to what he said, so that if you don't have a chance to watch the whole 1 hour and 36 minutes, you can watch maybe a 10-15 minute video here. So let's go ahead and get into this. We're going to start with around the 4-minute timestamp and break that down a little bit.
From that, there's this misconception kind of that the executives or the people at the top of a company don't really care about the shareholders. So for a CEO to come out publicly, especially you, this is a large reason why I love AMC and I love talking about it, is it genuinely comes across like the management cares about the shareholders and increasing shareholder value.
Well, Trey, I'm sure there's a question coming, but when you say that, I want to make a point. I am an AMC showman.
Right.
I own, or have been granted and are waiting to vest, I own a ton of AMC shares. Last I checked, I owned 3.6 million shares, or have been granted shares that are waiting to vest that I will become the owner of. I am a shareholder. You have no idea how much I care about the share price of AMC stock.
All right, so I wanted to make that short right there and talk about that a little bit. The reason why I highlighted that is because that's a professional interviewee move. You always basically put yourself with the group, and I'm not saying that it's strategic and that he's leading us on or anything like that. That's not the case. I'm just saying that it's always great to be able to know that somebody who's leading that company or somebody who's a part of the movement as the head person really, is also with us as a shareholder. And obviously we knew he was a shareholder. We know that executives are shareholders. They have to have, they have a certain amount of stock, right? They hold stock in the company, they're given stock. So we know, but 3.6 million is a lot, and he's showing that he's with us, right? So that's definitely a great move on his part to show that he's a fellow ape. And that's what I wanted to point out in that aspect. Now, let me go ahead and move forward a little bit to the 15-minute mark, and we can break some things down there.
$2.8 billion of debt and equity. And we also had a lot of friends, because, this is a 100-year-old company. We picked up a lot of friends along the way. And then we had a lot of allies. And there were so many constituencies who were rooting for AMC to succeed. Take our theater landlords. You know that our theater landlords deferred $450 million of contractually owed rent for 2020. And they have been working with us hand in glove to help us to survive this crisis. Our lenders, who we owe a lot of money to, again, our first lien holders, our second lien holders, they were with us. In one of our very sophisticated complex refinancings last July, we literally, with the stroke of a pen, wiped away $555 million of debt. It just disappeared. It just went away. Why? Because we knew what we were doing. Moelis and Company, our investment bankers, and Citibank and Goldman Sachs and B. Riley, our investment bankers, they knew what they were doing.
So I basically wanted to show this part because it shows their support that they're receiving from everybody, not just retail investors, showing that investment bankers, banks are supporting them, landlords that are at their theaters, they support them. I thought they would kind of own their buildings, but I guess since they're in maybe like complexes, sometimes it's a different story. They're in strip malls and things like that. but it shows their support here and it shows their strength as a company. Now, the only thing that I see as a difference, and I keep going back to when I was watching this, was there's kind of a difference between the long-term growth of the company, which we do want, but then also the short-term growth or short-term squeeze that we want to squeeze the hedge funds out of it. Because the longer-term stuff, it doesn't really affect the hedge funds as much, right? They're not paying as much interest. They're going on a long period of time. So there's a difference between the two. We want the health of the company. Obviously, there's a lot of people that are long-term in this company, but there's also people that are short-term that really want to gain as much as they can out of a squeeze possibility, not more of a lengthy increase in the price. So maybe you can change your strategy and say, we want to see the lengthy increase in a price to where it goes from, $10 to $30 in the matter of a year and a half. But I would imagine most people want, $10 to $30 next month or 2 months from now. So let me know your opinion on how you feel about that, because it's always great to have long-term growth, but it's also, not something that was in the original plan. When you look at GameStop and how they ended up squeezing up to $500, AMC really only pushed to about $20, which is not a crazy squeeze because they've been there before. GameStop has never been where it is before, or where it is now, right? And where it was before. But AMC has been there before. It's been up in that $30 range. So it doesn't make sense why we would look for a squeeze to go to a normal all-time high, right? So yeah, let's go ahead and look at a different timestamp here. So I have about 27. I'm gonna go 26 and a half, and we can go from there, or 26 and a half. 26, let's go there.
And people being so sick and tired of being cooped
Locked
up
up, yeah.
at home. It feels like movies are going to get released again. We just had Godzilla Kong. You're well aware that I think you're well aware. I'm
very well aware.
But our attendance for the first 5 days of Godzilla, Kong versus Godzilla, was quintupled, 5 times what our business had been the Wednesday to Sunday before, and the Wednesday to Sunday before that, and the Wednesday to Sunday before that. So you just feel like the business is going to get back with any kind of semblance of recovery of our industry. This money that we raised is enough to get us through, to get to the other side. But even now, we're sort of planning, if we need more money, what do we do? Because the worst thing that I could possibly do is let the company share price slide back down to $1.91.
Right.
And as people come out and again try to.
So I wanted to pause there. I'm still going to watch more of this part, but I wanted to pause there because I wanted to say that he's showing the strength of the company and saying that financially it makes sense as well. Because with the amount of people that are supporting AMC over any other theater, because of the fact that they're invested in the stock, they feel like they're owners of the company, they feel like they're with the company, and they're going to push up revenue as well. So people say financially it doesn't make sense, and all of these other news sources will say it's going to zero or whatever, doesn't make sense, right? But now he's telling you, look, this is what's happening. People are supporting it. The more that people are invested in this, the more that celebrities and everyday people are invested in this, you're going to see people go out and support it real time. Buy a ticket, watch a movie, buy some popcorn, buy extra things, make sure the revenue is on point. So that's what you're seeing here. But yeah, let's watch a little bit more.
Doomtell and naysay the future prospects of AMC. Like, you're well aware, there's one analyst who put out a report says our share price is going to
a penny. Yeah, right.
There's another analyst who said our share price is going to $1. There's another analyst who says the share price is going to $2. Personally, I like the report that came out from an analyst about 2 weeks ago saying our share price is going to rise to $13. What's going to happen? Nobody really knows what's going to happen. It depends on the pace of recovery and a whole host of other factors.
So that's another piece that I wanted to point out there, because he obviously sees all the reports saying that, you know, share price is going to $0, is going to $1, is going to whatever the lowest point is, just to scare people out of their position, which it doesn't make sense. They don't really know what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen, and we're analyzing it every single day, literally breaking down what the stock price is doing on the chart, what news is happening, what the interest rate is, the short interest rate, what the amount of shorted shares are. Like, we're actually breaking these things down every day, and we don't know what it is, and the analysts don't know what it is. They're just going off of, you know, what they feel or what their the person leading their team is telling them to do. You know, they're telling them, hey, you know, shoot down AMC, and they're going to go ahead and write an article for it. So let's go ahead and look at something else. Let's look at another piece. I can't remember where that is. Ah, man, I didn't put a timestamp for that. Well, anyways, I'm gonna skip to 37, but somewhere around here he talks about Wanda and the amount of shares that they ended up selling, and basically saying that a company does what they do just to be able to secure profits. It's not anything saying that, oh, they're trying to you know, take out as much as they can and, you know, tank the price as much as they can. Somebody that's that close to Wanda, it wasn't really that type of deal. It was more or less like they're just, you know, taking their money and they want, you know, profits, or they need money, basically. Not saying that they want only their profits. They physically need money. So if any company does need money, any firm does need money, they're going to end up taking that money just like the hedge funds would if they somehow, you know, someone said, hey, you know what, or a bunch of people said, hey, you know what, I need my money now. I know where you're putting your money. They have to take their money out and cover a lot of those shorts. So that was where I was going with that. But let's go ahead and look at this timestamp real quick. We should only have a couple more timestamps. I'm not going to go through the whole thing there.
Not hurt other shareholders. And that's my opinion. It's no one, it's life's too complicated to totally understand how stocks trade and why stocks trade and what influence is causing what. But in my view, Wanda has been a very responsible shareholder. And if they've had to sell down, they've done it in a way that does not hurt their fellow AMC shareholders.
That's awesome. I was actually going to ask about that. That was my question was, if, you know, when they did sell off, people were speculating that it affected the stock price. It could have tanked it. And then, you know, a second part to that would have been down the road, considering that it's not really so much they're selling because of AMC as a company, but more so their relations within China. Is it possible that we see them pull out more from their 30 million shares? Do you anticipate that they'll be good business partners down the road? Personally, just from what I'm hearing, it doesn't seem like something to be concerned with, but yeah, let me know.
A, I don't know what they're going to do with their 30 million shares.
Right.
B, I do expect they will be good business partners for the long haul, no matter what they do with their 30 million shares. But you're focusing on the wrong issue when you look at this recent share price decline, because that occurred after Wanda sold,
Right.
not before.
That's what I thought.
And on the favorite subject of your, not the favorite subject, a favorite subject of your subscribers, the new short sale report just came out.
Right.
And on March 15-ish, we had 49 million short shares. On March 30, we had 73 million short shares. So that means that our short share count increased by 50% almost between March 15 and March 30. I think our company is under attack again.
So yeah, I wanted to point that out. Once he said our company is under attack, I was like, wow, you know, to be able to see that and as CEO and be able to say that as CEO really provides strength, you know, with the overall movement. It's like our company is under attack. That's crazy. So he obviously sees this. I see this. And to say that, you know, you have a certain amount of, you know, shorted shares, you have a certain amount of shorted shares here. But the thing we want to focus on in order to create that squeeze is the amount of interest. If the hedge funds are not paying interest, or whoever's shorting is not paying interest, and it's a different story. But that was a main point that I took out of that when I did see that and I heard that company is under attack. That's what we needed to focus on. Now, the next piece I think is probably the most important piece, and we're going to leave it at that. There's more to the interview, but I think this is probably the most important piece of the video, and it's going to be a lengthy video that I show, and then I'll talk about it a little bit. Well, I'll probably talk through it because it's a lengthy amount. It's a lengthy amount of time. Is that right to say that? It's a long amount of time, so I don't want to forget anything that we're talking about, so I'll pause it throughout. But it's around the 45-minute mark. It goes from 45 minutes to the hour mark. So we'll see how this all plays out here.
I'd like to engage with our shareholders, and this is a platform for me to do that, just that.
Awesome. It's an absolute honor once again. I really do appreciate that. So I think the biggest piece that we probably want to dissect here is, proposal one of the recent proxy statement, the 500 million share dilution. I've paid very close attention to this. I've been covering it, as you know, on the channel for quite a while now, trying to dig through everything that's going on. And we've come up with a couple of questions, but the main thing is the FUD, the fear, uncertainty, and doubt. There's a lot of unknowns regarding the 500 million share dilution, the proposal for it, and the media is not helping in the least bit. It spreads a massive amount of fear, and that scares a lot of the retail investors. So I want to take the opportunity. Well, this is just my first question. We can kind of go from here and have a conversation, but we know that the board of directors is urging that we vote yes to proposal one at the annual meeting of stockholders on May 4th. And it's a critical requirement, right? It was in quotations as I take that directly from proposal one in the proxy statement. So, this would increase the total number of shares by 500 million shares if we were to hypothetically put them all into the market, which I don't personally believe will happen. I think there's some fear that will happen, to a total of over 1 billion shares. So what are the possible benefits to your shareholders of doubling the number of authorized shares out on the market? It's important for people to realize that this is the right, not the obligation, to issue stock. So that's my first question. I'll let you take the reins and kind of talk about it.
So you talk about fear, uncertainty, and doubt. There's more misinformation floating around the internet, floating around the media, about this proposal to increase the authorization by 500 million shares. So I might go on a bit of a filibuster here, not because I want to filibuster, but because you're giving me a perfect opportunity to explain what's going on. I also intend to make one brand new announcement right now that is unknown to anyone heretofore. And
Wow.
it's big news, so we're actually going to have to file this publicly today, after this tape session airs. First of all, there's confusion about what this share authorization means. Some people incorrectly think that means that we will massively dilute the stock. We did this as a company once before.
2013, right?
In 2013, the board authorized approximately 500 million shares. The exact number doesn't matter. The first time that any of those shares were used was the end of 2016 and early 2017, when we used approximately 32 million shares out of the 500 million, approximately 500 million,
Right,
to help us finance the acquisition of Odeon and Nordic and Carmike.
So I wanted to point out there, one, he brought up the fact that, he's not using the shares right away, right? And two, he brought up the term merger. He brought up the term to acquire, right? Does that imply that they're looking to either acquire or some type of merger when it comes to any other business? That could be a possibility. You never really know. That wasn't the announcement to let you know. But yeah, I mean, it took them a while to use it. And a lot of people are concerned with the fact that, we're going to use up these shares, or we're going to dilute the stock price. But I've been saying for a while that that's not necessarily a bad thing. We need to look at all of the details before we just say no to something. So let him speak a little bit more.
Which turned AMC into the largest movie theater circuit in the world. And do you know what happened to our share price back then? I went back and I looked.
I fact checked it too. Yeah.
Our share price in early 2016 was around $17 a share. We issued 32 million new shares. Remember, 500 million have been authorized, but but they hadn't been used.
Right.
But 33 years later, 32 million were used. Our share price almost doubled.
So I want to say something about that. The reason why you did have that price increase is because of the acquisition, that those shares were actually being used for something. If it's a different story to where the shares are not being used for something, then that's where it will not double. You may have an increase because a lot of apes are looking to invest in the position, buy up as much as possible. So you might see that actually increase, but no way will it end up doubling, because all of those shares that they introduce are not going to be used right away. It's more or less going to be used for debt purposes and also just holding in there, bringing the company's value up. But it will probably dilute it a little bit from the beginning, depending on if they have somebody that's willing to buy right away, which probably they do, but you never really know. So there's a difference between the two situations, in my opinion. But I still think that there's positives and negatives to no and yes, right?
Now, if you thought, well, dilution is bad, then you were wrong, because foolish dilution is bad. Smart dilution is smart. And our share price went up to like $32, $33, $34 on the strength of the Carmike, Odeon, and Nordic acquisitions, which we could not have done if we did not have those 32 million shares sitting in our pocket.
So at that point, it's making me think, reading body language, reading the way he's bringing all of this up, is that there may be an acquisition or a merger in the works, because it's like, we can't do something if we don't have the shares available. So make the shares available and then we'll be good, right? That's what they're looking at here. And it's very interesting to see this part. That's why I was so interested in this.
You know, the next time we used any of those shares?
2020, right?
September, the last days of September of 2020, another 3.5 years later. And we put about, I want to say 300 million shares in the market. Had we not had the ability to put those 300 million shares in the market, our company would have collapsed financially, and the share price would have gone to zero. And of those 300 million shares, 250 million of those 300 million shares went out between December 14 and January 6. And again, if your theory is dilution is just bad, then if we put 250 million shares out in the market in the span of 2 months, I guess our share price should have fallen. What?
So I don't want this to go on for too long, because I feel like it's going to be a 30-minute video. But basically it goes on to say, the fact that people are wrong about dilution. And the chat went wild talking about how they should vote no, and then all of a sudden changing to a lot of people saying we should vote yes, we should continue to push this company along, give them the option to offer more shares. And then some people saying basically we shouldn't want them to defer the offering of those shares until 2022. So the announcement that he made was that he's not going to use the shares, any of the new shares, if they vote yes, in 2021. That's what people are worried about. So that's definitely a good thing to know that. However, it does make it difficult if you wanted to create some type of merger or some type of acquisition or something to happen in order to, one, increase that price, and two, make the company be long-term, be healthy long-term, and short-term and all of that. So I've been saying this, that the vote wasn't coming down to a simple, hey, do you want to dilute the stock or not dilute the stock? I've been saying this for a number of weeks and nobody ever takes it. They're always like, oh, you want to vote yes? Well, we're going to cancel you. Okay, well, then go ahead and do that. I'm going to tell you what I think is real, and this is what I think is real. And obviously the CEO comes out and says it, and it's like dealing with a married couple here. One will say something, and we'll say, hey, you know what? This is what you need to do in order to cook some food or whatever. And that significant other will say, no, I know what I'm doing. And then somebody like Gordon Ramsay will come over here and tell you the exact same thing. And then you'll go ahead and do it and say, oh, well, this is my idea, or Gordon Ramsay told me to do it. And then I bring up, oh, you know what? I told you to do that 2 months ago. And you kind of just, brushed it off and said, no. That's what we're dealing with here. So, and I don't want to sit here and be that person that says, oh, well, I told you so. But geez, I mean, I got so much hate for saying that. But then the CEO comes out and everybody's in the chat is like, vote yes. It's crazy. So, yeah, I mean, the interview was great. The interview was absolutely amazing. I guess, Trey, to say something about, I guess, your interview skills. They were pretty good. They were way better than what they were with Jordan Belfort. It seemed like more of a positive interview. Obviously, with the CEO, it's going to be more positive. After seeing this, and if I ever do any type of interviews, I'm going to invest in one of those teleprompters. I noticed that, you obviously had his face over to the side while you had the camera up front, which is very difficult. But either way, the questions were great. The conversation was great. It did seem like a conversation. And, that's kind of just busting your balls a little bit, but I guess we're good. But yeah, if you want to check out the full interview, make sure you check out the link in the description. I'm going to link it down below. It is 1 hour and 36 minutes long. I just wanted to break down a few pieces, and there is some more after this. You have a good 36 minutes after this to where there's great conversations about, AMC in general, about Trey's channel, all of that stuff. There's great conversations, so definitely check it out. I just wanted to point out the most important piece without going, over any time here. But yeah. That's my video, guys. Let me know if you like this, if you want me to do any other type of, reaction videos, if you have any other interesting videos on stock related stuff, on financial related stuff. I also do reaction videos over on my Perry Experience channel if you want to check that out. Hopefully it'll be in the description. But that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching and, watching until this point. You guys are amazing, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.